what she had done for Lumina. That evening, Julia sat by the window of her apartment, the same place where she had written strategic reports that shaped the company's future, and quietly opened her laptop. She began to review every email, every document, every recent negotiation, especially the contract with the Korean beauty conglomerate, the deal she had single-handedly negotiated. Over the past 6 months of negotiation, there was no room left for pain in her mind now. Only one question echoed. Why now? Why right before the most critical moment? And the answer, she knew, wouldn't come from anger. It would come from calm, from persistence, and from her return at the right time. The next morning, as Julia sipped her tea in the quiet of her kitchen, the phone rang. An unknown number, but she recognized the voice instantly. Julia? It was Mr. Granger, CEO of Lumina. His voice was tight, like a wire pulled too far. Why did you quit right before the contract signing with Heijin Cosmetics? Like a wire pulled too far. Softly. Why did you raising quit an eyebrow right before the contract signing with Heijin Cosmetics? Like a wire pulled too softly. Why did you raising an eyebrow before the contract signing with Heijin Cosmetics? Like a wire. I didn't quit, sir, she replied, calm and steady, softly. Why did you raising an eyebrow before the contract signing with Heijin Cosmetics? A heavy silence fell. I didn't quit, sir. On the other end, she replied. Mr. Granger was clearly together. I was raising an eyebrow. He would soon remember carefully and be the contract. Only Julia held legal authority to represent Lumina in dealings with the Korean partner, which meant no Julia, no signature, no deal. For the first time in 2 long, heavy days, Julia leaned back in her chair. A faint smile touched her lips. Not the smug kind, not vengeful, but the quiet satisfaction of being vindicated, undeniably, without having to say a word. We need to meet, Mr. Granger said quickly. As soon as possible, Mr. Granger Julia nodded quickly, even though he couldn't see her. Mr. Granger nodded quickly, even though he could ended the call and stood up. Julia nodded quickly, even though the game ended the call and stood up. Julia nodded to turn, even though the game ended the call and stood up. Julia held the queen. Granger nodded to turn, even though Julia stepped into the top floor conference room at the headquarters. This time, not as a former employee, but as the woman holding the most critical strategic contract of the year. Mr. Granger greeted her at the door himself, not as a former employee, his expression, but as the woman holding the most critical nowhere in sight. Good. Julia didn't need another performance. We want you back to finalize the deal, he said bluntly. Whatever conditions you need, name them. Julia sat down, strategic contract of the year bag, and pulled out a short, neatly written contract of the year. Her eyes were razor sharp. Julia sat down, neatly written contract of the year. Her eyes were razor sharp. Sat down, neatly written contract. Control. I'll return, she said simply, but on one condition. I have full authority to negotiate and sign. Simply, no interference on one from condition. The COO. I have full authority to negotiate and sign. No interference on one condition. Internal legal. I have full authority. Mr. Granger nodded after a few seconds of silence. To negotiate and sign. He had no other choice. Right now, Julia was the only key that could unlock this deal. As she left the room, Julia said nothing, but in her stride, in the way she carried herself, something had returned. Not a title, not a role. Herself. Sharp, confident, and no longer bound by anyone but her own terms. The New York sky that day was unusually clear, and within Julia, something even clearer. A return. Not loud, but undeniable. The signing ceremony with Hagen Cosmetics was held discreetly. The signing ceremony with Hagen Cosmetics was held at a hotel in Midtown. Julia, dressed in a simple but refined pearl-colored suit, was the first to speak. She led the entire event with calm confidence. Every word she spoke carried weight, and for the first time, the media didn't just refer to her as a long-time female executive, but as the architect behind a historic handshake. The deal, worth tens of millions of dollars and opening the Asian market to Lumina, was sealed in just 45 minutes. The Korean representatives expressed full trust, not in the company, but in Julia. Yet as the room raised glasses in celebration, Julia only took a small sip of wine. Her eyes quietly scanned the room. Ethan wasn't there, but she could sense him. Somewhere, lingering in the shadows. A few days later, a vague article appears on an industry news site. Is Lumina's success really the work of one individual? An altered email. A partner meeting canceled at the last minute. Things began to stir beneath the surface. Julia knew. Ethan was starting to strike back. But she wasn't rattled. Because this time, unlike before, she was ready. Every step, every detail, every piece of proof. The real victory wasn't in the signing itself. It was in holding the ground. When others began to play dirty, the quiet games began to intensify. An email Julia sent to a partner was mysteriously altered, sent to the wrong recipient. A document went missing from the system, and a whisper began circulating internally. She's overstepping her bounds since coming back. But Julia didn't react the way they expected. No complaints, no urgent meetings, no demands for an investigation.